listen, since Justin, I was gonna let Keith go next, but I won't just I don't have a few minutes to grapple with what assignment he was asked to take on. So Bill Mulligan
Yep.
is not here, um, but he sent me this thing on a movie that he was going to cover, and then that me and Keith kind of tossed between us, and then finally we kind of tossed it in the wastebasket sadly, and then Bill's like, "Hey, if one of y'all want to do this, read this little thing I did on." And I said, "Can I get Justin to do it?" He said, "Whatever, man. You know, it's just I hope you like it." So Justin has something to talk about the movie called Seconds with Rock Hudson, uh, by John Paul Carlino, 1966. But you know, you take it from there. I forgot what all Bill wrote.
Okay, I'll present Bill's spiel on this movie. It's a film called Seconds from 1966. It's from screenwriter Louis John Carlino, based on the 1963 book by David Eli, and director Bill says it's one of those films I love to upset some cinephile
Oh,
by
wait, hold
claiming
on,
it's a horror.
Justin. It froze on you at a key time. The
When you're
director,
the director is who?
John Frankenheimer.
Yes.
John Frankenheimer.
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's one of those films I love to upset some cinephile by claiming it's a horror film or a science fiction film, whichever will most likely upset them. In my defense, I'm right on both counts.
Mm-hmm.
It's also the film that puts a lie to the
Oh, shoot.
belief that years of fluffy Doris Day romantic comedies gave people the unfair impression that he was a lightweight.
Rock Hudson.
I wouldn't put him
Rock
in the
Hudson.
pantheon of the greats, but he could hold his own,
Oh, yeah.
especially if given decent material, and he had it here in spades. As a closeted gay man, one of the worst kept secrets in Hollywood, it came as a shock to many of his fans in those pre-internet days. He was perfect for the role that Seconds offered. In the film, John Randolph plays Arthur Hamilton, an unfulfilled middle-aged banker from a friend he had presumed dead. A mysterious company surgically alters his body and gives him a new name and life, while tidying up previous affairs with a fake death, thanks to a doctored corpse. In this new life, Hudson assumes the identity of Tony Wilson, a swinging artist who gets to relive his young adulthood, indulging in all the fun stuff he missed out on. And predictably, he's left just as unfulfilled as before. His new so-called friends are just fellow reborns and or lackeys for the company. It was the inner forces and not the outer ones that made him the depressed, unhappy man he'd become and was likely fated to remain. He should have listened to the wisdom of legendary beat poet and truly terrible marksman William S. Burroughs, who said, "Now some of you may encounter the devil's bargain. If you get that far, any old soul is worth saving, at least to a priest, but not every soul is worth buying. So you can take the offer as a compliment. He tries the easy ones first. How's a young body grab you? Like 3-card Monty, like pea under the shell. Now you see it, now you don't. Haven't you forgotten something, Gramps? In order to feel something, you've got to be there. You have to be 18. But you're not 18, you are 78.
You froze.
Soul for a strap-on."
What'd you say? Say that sentence again.
Back up before strap on. What?
Old fool sold his soul for a strap-on. The last 10 minutes of the film descend into pure horror, as Wilson thinks he is being prepped for another operation and new identity, only to realize that he will now be the corpse for somebody else's rebirth. This must have hit the audiences like a ton of bricks, and they rejected this film completely. And it was all downhill from there. This is a pity because it had so much going for it. Great performances. Had Hudson agreed to play both roles, a la Peter Jackson, I think he might have earned an Academy Award nomination, though the choice to go with Randolph was probably correct. Director John Frankenheimer was firing on all cylinders at this time, The embarrassments of Prophecy and The Island of Dr. Moreau were far in the future. James Wong Howell's cinematography is, as always, brilliant. It has Saul Bass. They really could not show a convincing orgy in 1966. The film got dinged for some minor nudity, but the scenes of the so-called reborns living out their empty fantasies still packs a horror punch. I don't think this will ever be popular. It hits too close to home. All the more so now when so many people seem to believe that happiness is just a reinvention away. Whether it's a new job, new relationship, new hair color, new prescription, new whatever, while the actual cause of their misery is where no scalpel can reach.
Very good.
Thoughts on the film? Yeah.
Quoting William S. Burroughs interview always gets me happy. But the thing is, I'm not sure when Bill wrote it, but again, it's a movie much more so than Logan's Run that is popular now as far as among film people. I mean, Criterion put it out and it's selling like mad on Blu-ray. I've got it. I mean, it's been finally, I don't even want to say it's been rediscovered. It's finally been really discovered. Yeah.
I discovered it during the lockdown. I subscribed to the Criterion channel during that time and was checking out movies like that. And that's where I first saw it. And yeah, I agree pretty much everything he just said. That's easily the best thing I've ever seen Rock Hudson do in terms of performance. It's an incredible movie if you haven't seen it.
If I can go off genre for about 2 seconds, a lot of movies there are some movies that Rock Hudson did that were very popular in the day with their targeted audience, even though they were subversive. I'm talking about the films of Douglas Sirk, and I've seen 3 of them with Rock Hudson, and he's just as brilliant in those movies. I mean, he doesn't have the kind of dying scene. It's just like a tour de force, like in Seconds, but he's not in any way lightweight. Then those are melodramas, and you know how things come around and around after postmodernism. So now Douglas Sirk is seen as serious. He is serious, but everything looks pretty like of the 50s, but so pretty with the photography that it's like almost unreal, surreal. And 2 of the movies he has an affair with Jane Wyman, and each of them, who's a bit older, and each of them there's like that age class thing that you really get into, and it's pretty stinging indictment of prejudice. So I really recommend. It's Magnificent Obsession, and the what's the other one I have? All That Heaven Allows. I have that one on Blu-ray. So you're good. You good with that? You want to chill out and listen to us for a few more minutes, or you got to split?
Yeah, sure. I think that's probably a good idea, isn't it? If somebody can't make it, but they really want a film to be mentioned, they could just write
get
something
Justin
up.
to read it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If I'm in
Oh,
the Oscar, I don't think it froze as much as last time, Henrik. Maybe
No, not as much.
that was
last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my feelings really hurt. No, I'm kidding. Keith Howell, you're next up, buddy.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna preface just by saying, yeah, my choices for those of you who've seen them, for movies this week, when I'm thinking alternative sci-fi, my brain, I'm kind of like, I'm looking at the list and everybody's movies popping up. I'm like, well, what could I do that's a little bit different? And so I started like looking for movies that maybe don't overtly appear to be science fiction at first glance, and become that as you're watching. You realize I got sucked into a sci-fi movie, that kind of a thing. That's kind of the criteria I started doing, which is why, yeah, you see behind me the GROUNDSTAR Conspiracy, which is my first pick. And GROUNDSTAR, again, I think it might be a movie that's starting to be rediscovered a little bit. Maybe
on YouTube, a lot of people watch it. That's where I saw it.
Yeah. I've got a really beautiful remastered Blu-ray
Oh wow. I didn't know
on
that
it.
came out.
And yeah, and boy, that's just really nice. To me, it's like this is a movie that I've seen multiple times over the years, starting on just, television reruns occasionally, late night or something. And until I had the Blu-ray, I had never seen the full widescreen version of the movie. It always had been cropped in for television, similar to like what happened with Damnation Alley. Also, you just all the versions of it were cropped for television. So one of the benefits of the Blu-ray, and I haven't seen the YouTube version, is that and it's probably from the Blu-ray, is the nice widescreen, and they've gone through and color corrected and everything, and it's a really sweet, beautiful picture movie. So that's good. And if you've seen it before, then it kind of gives it a new experience feeling to it because the crispness and the color. Has everybody here seen this one? I always like to ask that.
I've seen it once.
Tim hasn't. Henry's
Years
seen it once.
ago.
Richard,
Years
years
I
ago.
ago.
haven't seen it.
Justin, haven't seen it?
I saw
Okay.
it in
No.
2018, 2017.
Okay.
I'm actually disappointed in myself that I haven't seen it because a lot of this stuff I usually have. So
Yeah.
Well, don't
Yeah.
be disappointed in yourself because it has been really hard to find.
Yeah.
It is one of those rare movies of mine where my collector mindset, recognizing that it's hard to find, it's one of those I bought on video cassette because I was able to find it. I bought it on DVD because I was able to find it, that sort of thing. And then as soon as I could find it on Blu-ray, I went ahead and got it on Blu-ray. It's not always been easy to find, is my point.
Right.
Now, all that being said, it's not necessarily the greatest movie, but I wanted to know if everybody's seen it because I don't want to spoil. There's more than one plot twist in this conspiracy, and it's this movie comes out in 1972, and I always think of it in threes because for me I have in my head this early 70s trilogy of conspiracy. It starts with GROUNDSTAR, and then it goes to the Parallax View, and then it goes to 3 Days of the Condor. Those three movies to me, they're just three I love. I can always sit down and watch them at any given time. Parallax View is one of my top movies of all time.
Yeah, it's a great
movie. Right. And they're all coming out of that time frame in the early 70s where where the Nixon administration was starting to just fall apart, and how most of us were alive during that, and it can kind of remember.
I was
very
young.
Yeah, but you still kind of remember that.
Me.
But it obviously was fueling this
Yeah.
distrust of government, and all that was starting to happen. I'm kind of curious in 20 years what we're going to look back on the films during the 2020s is going to look like in retrospect, that we may not realize at the time. But GROUNDSTAR seems to be kind of one of the first ones to start this trend of dealing with it. And it's probably the least of those three in reality. I noticed there's not a lot online when I tried to look up. There's not a lot of details about it, not a lot of info about it. It doesn't look like it was a big hit. The critics didn't seem to like it, but for some reason it resonated with me, even recognizing all of the flaws that are in it. I will preface the movie by saying it's an adaptation of a novel that came out the year before, and that's this. It's The Alien by L.P. Davies. Okay. And to say it's an adaptation is interesting to say because the big twist in this book is completely changed in the movie, in the GROUNDSTAR conspiracy, because the alien is dealing with what appears to be an alien in human form who is kind of befuddled and doesn't know how he got here, what's going on, and these deep state type people are chasing after him. Okay, hence the mystery kicks off. In the movie, it begins, if you see the image behind me, boom, it basically begins with that. It begins in a very cool 70s groovy way, a big explosion in a lab building in which you've got a guy being chased with the flames going in, and he's being chased from behind with guys with guns and all this, and we have lots of cool freeze frames and all this kind of stuff. And his face is just all messed up, and he's obviously been caught in the explosion, winds up in a woman's door. She throws the door open, and there's all this Technicolor blood all over his face, and it's all very dramatic beginning. And then it picks up from there, and George Peppard is our government agent, and Michael Sarrazin is our hero here, I guess you would call him, the guy whose face is all messed up, and which involves then reconstructive surgery to plastic surgery to try to reconstruct his ruined face. You might be able to predict some of where it's going with it. I can tell you it's a confusing conspiracy. The resolution is confusing. I've seen this thing probably 20 times, and I still am a little confused at times how it all works, but it still works for me. But I think one of the charms and detriments of this movie is the fact that it stars Michael Sarrazin and George Peppard. Okay, it's a charm and a positive for me, because even when George Peppard is doing his lazy man acting, where with no emotion, like a robot, and in his odd choices that he makes, I love it. I love the awfulness of it. And I can see why other people don't, but I love it. And Michael Sarrazin, again, I love every movie Michael Sarrazin does, and I recognize that he is as bland of an actor as you can possibly put on screen, and yet I love him. And so you've got two guys who just ooze and leak no charisma at all on screen in this thing, and they're outshone by Christine Belford. Everybody recognize her name or not?
I know her name.
Okay, Christine Belford. If you ever watched television from 1970 to about 1999, you have seen her in so many. She's one of those one of those people that was just in everything on television. She did movies too, but not as many. But television,
Character actor.
Right, character actor, and she is great in this. She carries her every scene she's in. She's the one who's got all the charisma and the fun in the movie. So she's the one who brings the energy when you have these two guys just sucking all the energy out. And I can see where they're going for it, because yes, Peppard is representative of the deep state, who lie about everything, can't tell the truth with a gun to his head, who's manipulating everything he thinks behind the scenes at all times. He thinks he's in control of everything. And Sarrazin, his character is just at a loss. He doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he came from. They're telling him who he is, but he has no memory of that. He has vague memories of something else, somewhere else, and people that he doesn't know, and he's very confused, and he's got not just the deep state after him, he also apparently has foreign agents after him. And so yes, this man is just on the run at all times. And so the GROUNDSTAR conspiracy, it comes out of the GROUNDSTAR plant or whatever, or whatever, the building where all of this happened is GROUNDSTAR. And so that's where the name comes from. And it has the feel of at times of a TV movie, and then suddenly it bursts into great cinematic flourish. And I don't know, I can't confirm, but I saw online somebody somewhere said it began its life as a TV movie.
I thought
And
it was.
and it was one of those that they decided after they started to crank it up a notch and make it a theatrical release. I don't know. I can't find verification of that. But there's a lot of TV actors on it, okay, including George Papard, who at that time was doing Banachek, I think, or about to do Banachek. So, you know, and Christine Belford, and then there's other character actors that just pop up, including the guy who was like, I think he was in the $6 Million Man, or the first Rudy Wells. I think he's in that also. The voice of Skeletor. That would be another. I can't remember his name now. It's just off the top of my head. But anyway, if you haven't seen it, I think you'd enjoy it. There's a lot of helicopter action. You know, like they obviously like kind of like the Beast Within. They invested in a helicopter, so damn it, they're going to use this helicopter, and they're going to use it a lot. The same helicopter,
Production
whole lot,
values, yeah.
right? But you know, I just think it's just charming as can be, because it thinks it's smarter than it is. I think maybe if it you know, don't you love that when you've got a movie that really, when you can tell they think they are really doing something smart here, and making a real commentary and all that, and in some way they kind of succeeded in making a movie that I just love and want more and more people to see. But it's really on the low end of good. But
So bad it's good.
you know, but it's not. See, that's the thing. It's not bad. It's on the low end of good, which is better than bad.
I feel that way. I feel that way about a movie from '79. Have any of you guys seen the movie The Dark?
Yeah.
It's because it's really funny, because it was supposed to be a slasher movie that they changed at the last minute into making the monster an alien, and it's completely tacked on, and he can shoot laser beams out of his eyes and people explode, and they put a little and they put a little thing at the beginning that's like, we have alien invaders and not all of them are friendly. You know, they did this because of Alien, but it was clearly supposed to be like a slasher backwoods deformed monster thing. And they're like, no, you know what? He's an alien. We forgot to tell you guys that. It's completely tacked on to the movie.
Here's the thing. Here's a funny thing that you notice in the GROUNDSTAR conspiracy, because remember what I told you, that first the book it's based on is The Alien, right? And there's some dialogue in like the final act, about at least 2 lines, maybe 3, in which Papard's characters refers on like a walkie-talkie or something to Sarazen's character as the alien. Makes me wonder, you know, in retrospect, did they change their mind in mid-production and their desire to, and remove the alien aspect, but they still had those scenes filmed? Like, did they, because I told you they reworked the conspiracy slightly, so there's nobody who thinks they're an alien, or, you know, here, but maybe they went into this with a little more accurate adaptation of the book, switched gears mid-production, still had some footage with it. It's because there's nothing beforehand to justify him referring to him as the alien. It makes no sense. It's a complete non sequitur in the movie, right? So it only makes sense if you've read the book, right? But they've removed that, and so yeah, I tend to think that's probably what happened. Like, they probably did some rewriting and some refilming and all that as in mid-production, and kind of switched gears, and maybe at some point editing this thing together they didn't
so it's sort of the opposite of the opposite of The Dark, where that went from being non-alien to alien. This went from being alien to non-alien.
But let me just say, even with the alien, there's a twist, you know, so I don't want to spoil it for you, but you know, if you want to PM me or something, I can give it away for you. But I recommend it. I recommend it. And if Henry says it's on YouTube, then that's good. That's good enough for me. You know, check it out on YouTube. Yeah.
I don't know if it is now. Right now, I saw it 5 years ago.
Our homework tonight is to watch the GROUNDSTAR conspiracy.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw it in the theater when it came out. A double feature with Silent Running.
Oh, that would have been nice.
That was like, It was
Yeah.
it was interesting because they were so dissimilar.
Oh, very much so. Yeah,
But
yeah.
they both were Universal Pictures.
Mhm.
And
Silent
so they just said,
Running.
we got two SF things. Let's make a double feature. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah,
But I
Silent
remember
Running is
nothing
one of
about
my
it.
favorite
Yeah.
movies of all time. That one,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mentioned Parallax. Well, Silent Running too.
You
I
want to
just-
talk about
yeah.
you want to talk about a crazy double feature? I shared an image the other day that was from a local drive-in by where I lived that closed in, I think it was like 1999, and one of their double bills was Event Horizon and Good Burger, which was just a very bizarre double feature.
Wow. Two more opposite movies I can't think of. Oh wow.
That's
Keith,
amazing.
did you have any further thoughts on that one?
No, just if you haven't seen it, recommend it. If
Okay.
you haven't seen it in a long time, yeah, go give it another rewatch.
I'll check it out. I remember
Especially if
looking
you
at
especially if you can get the nice widescreen version now that's out there,
Well, I
so
do
you get the
wanna-
full picture.
Yeah, I would like to see that because I don't know if mine. Well, it's a dupe on YouTube. You can't really tell 100%
Yeah.
quality.
But I always
sure it looks
I'm
nice.
gonna always look for opportunities to throw some love to Michael Sarrazin.
Yeah.
I love that
So,
guy.
I have
love
pet
everything he's
actors.
in.
he was an
Yeah.
actor of that time, and he was in
Yeah.
was it the Frankenstein, the Untold Story?
Frankenstein, came
Yes,
the very
yes.
next
He was
year.
everywhere for a while, for about
Yeah.
5
Yes.
years, and he
Yeah.
disappeared.
Well, let me
Yep.
let me jump in here. So first, real quick, while these are fresh in our mind, Frankenstein: The True Story has been covered on this channel. When was that covered? It was during
The adaptations period, I
horror.
think.
No, it was during horror TV.
Oh, okay.
And it was a great episode because it was paired with Spectre. So I did
Oh, yeah.
Spectre, I did Spectre,
Yeah.
and Scott did Frankenstein because Scott is a Mary Shelley authority. The other thing I wanted to say is we were going to cover Silent Running tonight prominently, but say no more.
Has
So
that
anyway,
got the Mike and the Mechanics soundtrack? The song Silent Running?
Oh no.
I was long before. This was when Mike was still doing Suppers Ready, man.
And,
Come
and
on.
the soundtrack on Silent Running is beautiful, but it is not
Shown
anything
by
like
us.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's a remake Silent Running. Maybe I don't know.
Might be.
I hope
But,
not.
yeah, I've seen the video of that song, and
They just took
it's
the
obviously-
name. Yeah, they
It's
just
a
took
movie soundtrack, but it's like an 80s, some sort of 80s sci-fi film. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Richard, why don't you go ahead? I'm not Richard, Tim. Why don't you go ahead and
before you go, I might have to sort of bail at this
Okay.
stage, but
okay.
it's been fun, and thanks for
Yeah.
letting me talk about bad taste. Good
Bye
on you.
bye. Bye bye. You have good taste, not bad taste. You're fine.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.
Talk to you soon.
Have a nice weekend.
You too.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.